Tonight on the Junk Box, our review of older Second Life motorcycles continue with the Beebe'S Ghost Flame Chopper. And welcome everybody to the Junk Box. I'm your host, Thomas XSL. The lovely blonde to my right, your left, is my lovely alt assistant, the Junk Box Tart. That's just a little Second Life levity there. We're at Skids, Aisle Store and Sandbox. Tools, anime, gadgets, and more at Skids Aisle. Big shout out to Skids. This sandbox has no auto return parcels, so you can take your time on your build. We're continuing on with our Second Life older motorcycle reviews, and today we have this. It is the Beebe'S GH1, the Ghost Flame Custom. This is a really nice bike with several sculpted pieces to it. Let me just point out the handlebars are sculpted. The fork crown, the fork holder, that's sculpted. The seat sculpted. The gas tank sculpted. What else is sculpted? Oh, and then the frame is sculpted. I'm not too sure the history on this bike, but I'm guessing that this came out around maybe around 2008, maybe 2009. This is just a very, very well put together bike. I mean, everything looks balanced, and this is a... Now remember, we did the original rideable Harley Davidson from 2004. This combines that bike's rideability with the Jackhammer Sex Bike 2. So this bike is rideable and it has a left menu. So it has both, the best of both worlds, just in case anybody out there build-wise is wondering, oh, is it possible to make a vehicle rideable with a love engine? This one can be ridden, and you can ride your partner on it at the same time, if you know what I mean. Now remember, in both, in the rideable Harley Davidson and the Jackhammer Sex Bike, I mentioned the fenders were tortoises, but they were left whole. They were left like with the tube intact, and they didn't do the profile cut. Well, the fenders on this Ghost Flame Custom, they have that. You see, they have that inside piece has been cut and then it's been hollowed out. I want to give a big shout out to the person who actually gave me this bike. I was not expecting this. It was a very, very cool to get this bike free, and this was given to me by a friend of mine called, we'll just call him SB. So I want to give a big shout out. Thank you, SB, for this bike. It sounds kind of funny because it almost sounds like SOB, like thanks for the bike, SOB. But this is a very, very cool bike, and the tires as well are tortoises, and you can see here they did the inside profile cut. There's kind of a cutaway of what I mean, where it's got the textures lined up perfect on the outside, and then the inside has got that chrome texture. The bikes that we've been reviewing have been, you know, they've been from the early days of SL. Stuff was rough, but here it's like things are getting, you've seen a lot of progression. Things are getting cleaned up a lot. I mean, look, the headlight texture is just, it's spot on. And they've got this mix and match kind of carbon fiber-ish kind of texture with the chrome texture on the forks. The exhaust pipe is also another piece that's sculpted. So several sculpted pieces, pretty complete. It's got a headlight, it's got a tail light, it's got a fuel cap, it's got the Harley Davidson logo, and has a speedometer. There we go. So this motor is actually a regular square rectangle prim with a motor texture put on either side, and then it has these other two prims down in here that represent the head. The head's right here where you can kind of see where it's kind of finned. It's a little tricky to see if I can get in. Yeah, there's one of them right there. What's really interesting about this bike is there's a bike builder in Second Life called Motorloon, and if you go into his shop and actually so you go up in his shop and I think you take a right, you'll see some motorcycles that he's selling that have this actual type of engine setup, and they're still being sold today. So I'm not sure if this bike was because this bike is this bike is full perm. I'm gonna take the HUD out of here and just drop it right there in my. There we go. So I took a copy. Had to take a copy of the HUD because there's no menu for this bike. I mean, other than the love menu. But so I had to take a copy of this bike HUD to check out this bike HUD works. But as you can see, it has all the love stuff, just like the Jackhammer 6 bike. But then it has like bike 1, bike 5, which that should be the riding and the idle pose. So this bike has the love engine, and it's also got the bike script all in the roof prim. You can take a passenger on the seat. You can see I'm getting the little chair icon. So you can take a passenger around, but not only that, I noticed if you move your mouse over, like right there on the tail light, you also get a sit icon. On the Harley Davidson badge you get a sit icon, where else on the speedometer you get a sit icon. Down here you get a sit icon. So this bike is actually set up where certain pieces, if you click on them, you will sit and take a certain pose. Let's go ahead and have her do some of these poses. I'm going to have her turn off her AO, and you just left click, reverse passenger sit. That would be very interesting to ride with. If you click the speedometer, you get this very nice laid back pose. The only thing is you would have to stand up off the bike and then hurry up and click, and if you're in a area that doesn't allow resing, the bike could be auto returned to you before you could relax on it. But moving on, oh, she kind of flew up there. Moving right along, but this back part of the primary, what does that do? Oh, it's a fender sit. The air cleaner has a pose. What's that one? Oh, that one's pretty cool. Chilling back. She's kind of sitting up a little high on the bike. The headlight, the headlight can turn off and on just by left clicking on it. That is really cool. And let's check out, and then the seat actually has a passenger sit. Pretty standard passenger sit. Well, alright, looks like there's some issues with me kind of sitting above the bike. I go down. Well, that sucks. I keep jumping up. I keep jumping up when I that's what the HUD is. Let's see. What does this do? It's locked, unlocked. Oh wow. So it locks, unlocks. Start, stop, flight. Ah, it has, oh look at that. It has a flight feature on it. And the wheels go sideways. Wow. And then back to ride. That's really cool. Rev. Horn. it has a turn speed adjust, which will affect how it's how steering affects when you go at higher speeds. It has turbo and snail, or turbo and snail. I mean, it's turbo buttons, but it's acting like they're shift buttons. Fire. What does fire do? Oh, so burnout, and then the locked, unlocked. But it just says objects. It doesn't say the bike is locked. Huh. And then we have a speedometer over here. It says 0 kilometers per hour. Off here, and let's check out some of these. Now this one only has the love menu of girl boy 2, and cuddles, and then it has the stand, stop, and options tabs, along with the, of course, ignore ads. So this love menu here is actually it's actually a classic one that you see in a lot of old love beds in Second Life. I think when we did the love menus episode on the junk box and discussed, I think it was the Into a Cell series, where we discussed I think it was Miffy Fluffy, I think, was the one that made that. It made the love menus. I'm not gonna show the sex menus to keep this episode G-rated. Okay, so far on this first cuddle pose here, this one does not have the lovers poses though. It just has the basic cuddle poses, but that's reasonable. You're laying on the ground next to the bike. At least they don't have you sitting on top of the dang bike like the jackhammer one did. The gaze a little high, but it looks reasonable. At least you're not. Let me fix my camera angle so I can focus on us. That's still pretty reasonable. I mean, not to talk down about the jackhammer bike, but that thing had us like all over the darn place. Oh, that one's cool. See, they knew what they were doing with these poses when they adjusted them. But I think Tart's getting the peg in her butt. It looks like. You see that? It's like right up against her cheek. Chat to kiss to embrace. See, when they made this bike, they knew, hey, certain poses should be on the ground next to the bike. Would only make sense. So that was embrace. There's make out. That's a nice pose. Reflect. See, that's cool. I like these poses where we're like up against the bike. That looks really cool. It's like we're sat there parked. Lay side. A little modeling pose going on there. That's cool. And then we have relax. That one's another cool one where we're like up against the bike. So this has some really well positioned, I want to say excellently positioned poses for the cuddle poses. But before I go into those more intimate poses, I went into this first menu, and there's actually some more cuddle poses in here, along with some of the more mature poses. So there's this one's side. That one's really cute. It's like we're gazing up at the night sky, or maybe cloud watching. And there's prop. I got her hand on her. Well, I guess a hand on her side, but it's like a hand on her butt. Pin 2. Oh, it's kind of like the gaze pose, the gazing cuddle pose, but instead of her arms tucked in, she's like pinning me. And then there's spoon, almost kind of like lay side a little bit. And then there's Kiss. Oh, that one's kind of like pin, like like the pin 2 pose, but obviously kissing. And it appears like the other poses are more mature, so I'm gonna go and cut video, check out some of those more mature poses or animations rather, and then give. Oh, excuse me. It's like belched right in the mic. I'm sorry, guys and gals. So I'm gonna go ahead and check out these other more intimate poses, see if they're just as well positioned as these cuddle poses, and get right back to you on that. So if you're wondering if those more intimate poses were just as properly positioned as these cuddle poses or relaxing poses, yes, they actually were. They were very well positioned. Some were a little high, but I mean, you can, with these love menus, even these older love menus with just the three sub menus, you can easily reposition and fix the poses. Let me stand up, and I'm gonna stand her up. I stood you up, Tart. I'm sorry. Maybe next time I'll take the date more seriously. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so if you were riding this in the mainland and you wanted to pull over and you wanted to chill like that, you would have to actually find an area, a res zone, that would let you res these balls out, because these are actually come out of the, well, let me see. We're going to right click, hit edit, and you'll see the root prim, which is the yellow prim, is actually this clear ball here. Now that root prim is where all the love menus and everything is at. So that's where these balls come out of. So they actually have to be rezzed out. If you're just riding in any sim that doesn't allow rezzing, you will get a message saying that the balls weren't allowed to be rezzed out because of the area. Kind of like the Jackhammer Sex Bike 2, but the Jackhammer Sex Bike 2, that doesn't move, so that would be more like, that would be on your land, or that would be at your place of residence. You'll see some bikes, I've seen some bikes in the mainland that actually look very, very much like this. They have that kind of motor, they have that kind of exhaust pipe. They have a couple of the parts missing, like they won't have this Harley symbol. I saw one in a neighborhood in the mainland NSL where it didn't have the headlight, it had like a skull, but I've seen like variations on this. So maybe this was a full perm kit and they just let people do like whatever and let it be resold. See, this Playboy Bunny bike, it has like a different like script system on it. Different script system than this Beebe'S Ghost Flame. Well, different handlebars actually. But yeah, look at the forks. The forks are the same. So are the tires. Tread, I think they just put color of gray to make it look darker. But look, the fender looks the same. It definitely has the same fork holder and the same forks. The exhaust pipes look the same. This motor here is actually sculpted. The seat's different. The frame's the same. Cause look, they both got that little bend in the frame, so that's the same. I think the gas tank is the same. Yeah, the gas tank's the same too. It's just more stretched than the Playboy Bunny version. The back fender looks the same. Let me cam in and see. I think their motor is entirely different. Their motor came from something else. Yeah, and their oil tank's different too. So yeah, it looks like there's some elements on this Playboy Bunny bike, sold by Big Taz, by the way. It looks like it shares some of those elements between the bikes, so maybe this bike was offered in some kind of kit form, and then people just took it and did whatever. Or maybe people got just free versions like the way I did, just through friends, and then they just threw together their own style of it and sold it. But this Playboy Bunny bike does not have. It doesn't have a love menu though. Oh, and look, it's doing this. It looks like it's doing the same thing as the Beebe'S. Yeah, look, when you go into idle, your avatar jumps up. That must be just something that, just some glitch that occurs in these motorcycle scripts. Now this Beebe'S Ghost Flame script, I can't open. It's no modify, so I can't get in there to see it. But it's probably the same script, and he just named the script after the bike. I don't think the Playboy Bunny bike actually has any passenger sit. I don't think it does have a passenger sit. Nope, it doesn't. So let's hit the mainland and see how this Ghost Flame custom rides on the mainland roads. You may be asking, where are we going to test this bike out at, Tom? Well, we're going to Route 9 in Yangbachu, where we've been here thousands of times already. Been here lots of times already. It's a good spot. There's some nice tight turns that we can get into. And here is a little SL Magic from Tart's Collar. She comes in. We'll let her res in. Her bottoms aren't resing in. I don't think her bottoms are resing in. Are they going to res in? We'll just right click. More. Tools. Reload. Remember I taught you all that trick, and there she is. She's fine. Tom, what the hell are you doing? What am I doing on the bike? I'm doing like this weird Titanic. Why am I doing the Titanic pose? What the hell? Stand up. Reset. What the hell are you doing, Tom? Tom, you crazy bastard. What are you doing? Alright guys, so I apologize to Tart for having my butt all in her face right now, but that has been the Beebe'S Ghost Flame custom review video. Did a quick kind of a very quick night shot to show you the headlight coming on. So the headlight actually does not throw light on the ground like local lights. It just lights up full bright and then goes out and then full bright again when you click it. So this is a very fun bike to ride. It handles really easily despite you kind of doing this hovering thing when you're in idle. I'm going to put this bike on Marketplace. I'm going to have a link in the description where you can get this at in Marketplace. I'm just going to give it away for free at my store, the Junk Box. I'll have the link in the description below where you can get this once. I would be really interested in how this thing would be with the ACS script, so I'm going to have that project in mind. Anyways, guys, as always, like, rate, subscribe, comment. Let me know if you have a variation of this bike, or maybe if you know how old this bike is, or if this thing was in fact offered as a full perm kit back in the day, or whatnot. Have fun, guys, and take care. This pod wants a drag race. Racing the pod, and we beat you, pod. You lost, pod. You suck. 2 pods. 2 pods in one day. What the heck?